Welcome to Organizational Sherlocks, the podcast where business meets psychology and your organizational puzzles meet their match.
Join us for captivating stories and practical solutions to unravel your toughest challenges.
I'm Dr. Elizabeth Fleming.
And I'm Morgan Ashworth, your guides to a prescription for business success.
Let's dive in. Well, we are coming to the end of 2024, which I will tell you seems wild.
What a fast year.
Oh my gosh. I think I don't want to admit this, but I'm going to for all of our listeners. The older I get, the faster the years go.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree with that.
Not that I'm getting any older. I just want to clarify, but
I mean, technically, you're getting older year after year.
Don't tell me that, Morgan. Come on.
We're all getting older. Anyhow, yeah, definitely this year passed super quick. And so that means most of our listeners, as well as us, we're in kind of final prep for the new year as well. I know I have a lot of big projects going on that I want to have launched in the new year, but also planning for the new year. And so we want to ensure that you guys, as well as us, we're setting our teams up for success come the new year. Elizabeth, how do we start, setting our team up for success?
Yeah, well, in the true spirit of organizational Sherlocks and our kind of values and goals of this podcast, I think the biggest thing that comes to mind for me is to be curious. And through that comes really this idea of reflection and using this time to reflect, what worked. What were some of the successes that your organization, your team, maybe you personally have had over the past year in 2024, and also looking at maybe what didn't work, and what did you anticipate would work and it didn't, and kind of how can you understand all of those pieces so that you can make some goals and be very strategic in how you create those goals for year 2025 and maybe even beyond. So I think for me, it's kind of an opportunity for a fresh start, if you will, and really being able to come up with what comes next. How about
you definitely. You can't plan for the future without looking into the past a little bit. And so with that, it comes, looking at past KPIs, looking at how goals have changed over the course of 2024, seeing how, or just the year, if you're listening for future time. But so really looking back into what worked, what didn't, what goals did we succeed with, what goals did we fall short, were there KPIs, key performance indicators that we expected to be better, were there sales goals we didn't reach, were there sales goals we over exceeded and we wouldn't have expected, did we hire more people than expected, what was our turnover like? Definitely it's important to reflect back on what happened in the past year so that you can set the stage for the new year.
Exactly. Yeah. And I would say, it can be helpful to create that list again of successes and maybe some challenges. But I'd encourage people to also dig down a little deeper and ask the question, why? What was it, or why was it successful, and maybe why wasn't it? So that way you have some information, so that when you're creating those goals and you're, launching new things or, modifying or improving or whatever it is, you can really look at it and say, I know that this worked before, or it didn't.
Yeah, people are not a set of numbers. And so you really have to look into the qualitative data on top of the quantitative data. Exactly. So important. I love that addition, Elizabeth. But, once you reflect back, now it's time for some future goal setting and planning for the new year. And there's so many different things you can look back on. So we'd love to hear your insights on what types of KPIs, what types of goals are you looking back at? Or are there other things we're not mentioning that you do plan to reflect on from your years before you plan for the new year?
Yeah. Now, what are some of your successes too? I think that's pretty cool. I don't know if it's okay with you, Morgan, and to jump in really quick, because again, this is one of those tangential things, but and I did not, forever, all of our listeners, I did not prep Morgan ahead of time for this, but what, when you look back at this past year, what would you say is kind of your biggest or greatest success?
Oh, that's a hard one to answer. I feel
if you need time, I can share mine first and then you can share yours. How about that? Or do you
Yeah, why
want
don't we
me
start
to?
with that? You share yours first, because it seems like you have a good idea going for what you want to share.
No, it's fair. I would say that it's a bit personal, but it's also a bit business. So for me, the greatest success is that I took this idea of a consulting business that I curated in 2018, 2019, and launched it. Finally made the decision that now is the right time. And so 2024 launched my business. And I guess it's kind of two things. Simultaneously, met you and started this podcast, which I also think is pretty darn cool, because I know for both of us it was definitely like pushing the limits a little bit. Like, can we do this?
Still sometimes feels like it's pushing the limits. We're really trying to make ourselves more well-rounded starting this month, I think, on the social media side of things.
Exactly.
And I do all the marketing for the other organization, so it's really it's a lot. So Elizabeth kind of picks up my slack, so I can't thank her enough on that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So I mean, and I think it is interesting because, again, it's both personal and business. And I think that they can exist simultaneously. So that would be I would say my biggest success this year that I feel really, really good about.
Yeah, I mean, on the personal side, I can say, I mean, I guess it's personal and business too, is that I have just been so busy in every way, shape, and form, from working as chief people officer and doing a lot of business strategy with my company, to now on the personal side, building things, what my partner's doing. He's super busy, and I've been doing a lot of support on that side, now to the podcast and beyond. I feel that I've constantly have something to do, but what's great is no matter what I'm doing, I'm always working towards something, whether that be for me or for the company or for the podcast. And so I feel that my biggest successes have been honestly the ability to multitask my priorities. I would say it seems so simple, but with how much I have going on, it's really exciting that I can, in fact, launch all of this at once. I've taken on a lot more tasks in my organization, kind of acting more than a CPO, acting more kind of in that COO role, which is interesting to see. But love to see the growth that Ashworth Awards is having, and it's booming. It really is. The running industry is starting to boom, and that's one of our main industries. And so now to see where we're adding to our manufacturing unit, from last year to this year, we tripled size of our manufacturing unit, and then to see our sales grow and to see new customers being attracted to us, to see us launching new product lines. There's been a lot going on, and I couldn't be more thankful to be a part of all of it and have a strong team around me as well. We have a really in-depth, hardworking team, I can say. And I talk with friends, and they're working 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day, some of them on salary. And it's crazy to me because my team, we're working 8 to 10 hours a day, overtime for some, because we're all working towards some greater goal that based off of the mission and vision that we all share.
Yeah, no, I think that's wonderful, and congratulations. I've seen some of the new products and different things that you've done, and they're really pretty darn neat. So if you haven't checked it out, I recommend you do, and just kind of learn a little bit about Ashworth does. But yeah, I think when I think about kind of setting teams up for success, which then ultimately impacts the organization as a whole, there's a lot of different things that come to mind. Obviously, I have a leadership development, primarily is kind of my focus, leadership team development consulting company, right? And so I think that is an area that can be focused on, and maybe even in like kind of the rejuvenation period of the time we have off, or the holiday season, or being with family and friends or people that you really want to be spending time with. I think it's a really cool opportunity for leaders to really reflect and think about, what is the tone that I want to set for the coming year. Maybe not as much about it can be about goals, of course. What are the goals that you want to achieve? Yes. But also, what is the environment? What is the culture? What is the just again the tone that you want to set for your
Yeah, you know what? kind of what you're saying is, you have like, yes, a company vision, mission, and values, but
Mhm.
are you going to prioritize those mission and vision, and how are you going to prioritize them to, as you say, set the tone? Are you going to lead the charge as the head of the company or as a manager? Are you going to really make sure you're bringing people along with you and
Yeah.
rejuvenating and motivating, energizing those individuals surrounding you? Because it's very important to do, one, but two, what new mission might you have for the new year? Do you have a sub vision or from your overall organizational vision that you're trying to achieve?
Yeah.
And how does it affect the maybe different departments or the company overall, or even the individuals of the organization? What does that quote unquote, as you say, tone? What do you want it
Yeah.
to be?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then that trickles down nicely into another area that I think about, which is around kind of like skill development. In the new year, what are some of those strategies that you're looking at for developing people and developing skills that can help fill some skill gaps, right? Is it learning opportunities? Is it coaching? Like, what is it, right? So I think all of these things are very kind of entwined, if you will. I mean, they're definitely connected and related, but it really, to me, the foundation is really that time for reflection and curiosity, and then taking all of that information, that qualitative, like I think you mentioned,
Mhm.
information, and then translating that out into strategy
Yeah.
and actionable steps.
Yeah. What's your strategy looking like for the new year? You mentioned skill gaps, and where do you need to do training or coaching to improve those skill gaps? And that skill gap might be an employee driven like skill that they want to develop, but it also might be an organizational need in growing the organization. So to me, that sounds like, okay, what does job laddering look like? Do we have hopes for people's promotions in the new year? Do we have roles that we're going to want to fill in the new year? Do we have what does the hierarchy overall look like? There's a strategy behind the hierarchy of an organization, and so you can help plan for that, which entwines with, yes, skills,
Absolutely.
training, but also people's goals. Retention matters for job laddering, because you want to have some sort of job ladder for people to achieve, which then works into overall budget. With a promotion typically comes a raise. I mean,
Right.
it's very rare to see a promotion without a raise. And so what does your budgeting look like around payroll for the hierarchy?
Yeah.
Not just hierarchy and salary budgeting, but what does budgeting look like overall? Are you going to increase budgets for departments? Are you going to increase knowledge surrounding budgets and money? Are you going to give more independence and autonomy surrounding financing to certain managers? What is that going to look like?
Yeah.
What do your travel budgets look like? Are you traveling to trade shows, conferences? Do you have outside sales reps traveling around? It's really important to kind of take all that into account as you plan for the new year.
Well,
Now,
sorry, if it's okay, I jump in. The other piece that I'd add to that too is, like, if you are a leader in an organization, or you are, maybe a business owner or whatever it may be, you have some kind of sense, like, don't forget about yourself either, right? What do you need to continue growing in your skill set, or to help set that tone, or to better understand the budgeting side of things? I think we often think about others, and that is, I think, a lovely part about being a leader, right? As we think about how can we develop our team to then also have an impact on the organization. But I would encourage people to not forget about themselves either, because you as a leader are also a very important part of the team in which you lead, right? And so I just wanted to call that out as well.
yeah, I like that. And honestly, on a kind of quote unquote more selfish level, if you are thinking about yourself in terms of, what do I need? And you've already been doing that, which is great. You know, what do I need, but then what do I need the people around me to be doing? And so, your needs might then reflect onto your goals for the team. So there is an interchangeability there. And then on top of that, succession planning. Do you have succession planning going on for yourself? Like maybe you're planning to retire at some point. Maybe you want to continue owning the company or being a part of the company, but you know that you're going to be getting close towards retirement. This is actually a very common issue year to year for individuals, is how do I get myself out, or how do I calm, my workload in a sense? What type of succession planning can you do surrounding that? So there are lots and lots of goals for the new year. There's lots of planning strategies surrounding the new year, but your strategy, your goals, your plans are going to change because they're going to be company and individual specific. So yes, Elizabeth and I are talking about all these different things you can be doing. And many organizations have already started doing this. They're probably in final turns of it. If you're not, though, it's okay. You got some time.
Absolutely.
It doesn't need to be a formal business plan. Yes, those are helpful when you have a larger organization, but you really need to take into account, what do I need? What does my organization need? And what can I do to help with that planning? Maybe budgeting doesn't fall under your realm. Okay, that's fine. But what does fall under your realm? What can you help with? Or what do you want to help with? Maybe you want to help with budgets one day, even though you're not a financial analyst.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's kind of fun because Morgan and I are also doing this when it comes to organizational Sherlocks, right? So off camera, off podcast recording, we are, talking about what does 2025 look like for us, or what does the next year look like, and how can we engage all of you to be a part of this community that we're working to develop, right? And so I will give a little bit of a sneak peek, if that's okay with you, Morgan, that in a couple of weeks, on the 31st of December, we are going to kind of give you an insider view as to what Morgan and I are thinking about our own resolutions or our own New Year's plans for organizational Sherlock. So I will just, again, forewarning, it's a little, it's definitely business, definitely, podcast centric, but a little bit fun too. So I just wanted to call that out, because even though New Year's resolutions sometimes get a bad rap, I think there's something really cool about and powerful, I guess, too, about putting it down on paper and then maybe sharing it with the people around you, aka all of you listening. We're going to share our resolutions with you, and that'll keep us true to our words. So
a business plan is just a glorified New Year's resolution, right?
Exactly, right? Yeah, so I think that'll be kind of fun. So I hope that our listeners will tune in to that episode too, because I'm pretty thrilled about it. So
I'm excited. But overall, the purpose of this podcast here is just to get your gears turning on what you want to see in the new year and what your plans and strategies are for the new year. Again, not everything's going to apply to you, and that's okay. But everyone has a little bit of planning, whether it be business or personal, just like how we were talking about our personal successes that kind of wrapped into business anyhow this past year. So, we challenge you to think on it. We challenge you to maybe even share with us. We'd love to hear from you. We say it every time. But, talk with us. Let's see what you guys have planned for the new year, and we'll also share what we have planned for the new year. There's just one little affidavit I want to say, and that is, not every organization runs on a 1/1 to 12/31 year.
True.
So sometimes business planning doesn't happen around now. You might not have your quote new year until after the first quarter. That's okay too. But still time to start thinking in this month of reset.
Yeah, I'd argue you can think about this stuff year round, right? It's just maybe this time of year for a lot of companies is really it's more of a focus than anything.
The fiscal year sometimes is easier to do on a 1/1 to 12/31 basis for tax season purposes, especially in the US. But really start thinking about it. And if it's not your time to write the business plan for your company new year, then reach out to us when it is, and we'd love to have a chat with you.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a great plan. Well, I think we give people back a little time in their day, if that works for you, Morgan. And we will see you next time. So this concludes another intriguing episode of Organizational Sherlocks. I'm Elizabeth Fleming.
And I'm Morgan Ashworth, reminding you that the journey to success is an ongoing investigation and reflection.
And reflection, of course. Stay curious, stay strategic, and keep utilizing insights to decode your business mysteries.
Join us every Tuesday for your next Who Done It, especially the next 2 weeks you're going to want to tune into. This is Organizational Sherlock's closing today's case.
We will see you all on Christmas Eve.